Welcome to Marriott MBA today. I'm Sean Bailey, and today we have Professor Steve Albrecht, who's here with us today. He'll be teaching the new corporate governance class for the MBA program. So, Professor, tell us a little about yourself.
Yes, I've been a professor at BYU for a long time. Before that, I taught at Stanford, and before that, I taught at the University of Illinois. I've been one of the deans for 10 years, and the last 3 years I've been in Japan and Tokyo as a mission president. And in the past, in addition to being a BYU professor, and even today, I sit on a number of corporate boards.
Great, that's awesome. So tell us about this new class that you're going to be teaching.
Okay, so this is going to be a corporate governance class. It's basically going to be about boards of directors and the decisions they make, how they make decisions. And I'd be happy to give you some examples.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let me give you a couple. Okay, first, one of the decisions the board has to make is how do we reward the executives and the employees? Okay, what kind of compensation do we use? Do we use cash? Do we use bonus? Do we use stock appreciation rights? Do we use stock? Do we use performance stock? Do we use restricted stock? Do we use stock options? Those all have legal implications. They all, for example, you've got to file within a couple days your Form 4 with the federal government, with the SEC.
What kind of business leaders would need to know those kind of things?
Okay, so anybody who sits on a board has to know that, because there's a compensation committee, and the full board has to understand that, because
Sure.
the tremendous motivational issues. I mean, you want management to do the best for the company, right? And if you're a human resource kind of a guy, director, for example, you better know that and how compensation works and what it means and what the motivation issues are. So that would be one example. Want another one?
Sure.
Okay, so I serve on a board right now. Well, I serve on 3 boards right now, 3 public boards, and have served on 7. Okay, and one of them, we just offshored a whole bunch of program. It's a software company based in North Carolina to the old Soviet Union bloc, because there's great programmers over there. Another one, we just built a huge factory in Malaysia and closed down a factory in the Philippines. Okay, why did we do that? I mean, why would you go offshore? What are the issues? Why would you select certain countries? What are the safety issues? We had a guy murdered in the Philippines, for example.
What do you do when you have an incident that happens like that in a company?
Well, you hire a private investigator, you get the law enforcement involved, and you try to protect so that it never happens again.
Is that harder to do overseas?
Very hard in some countries. Yeah, very hard.
So what are some of the other issues that you would teach about in the class?
Okay, so I serve on an airline company board, and we recently decided that we're going to start offering a dividend, and that's a big deal. And we made a trade-off between buying back stock or issuing a dividend, and sometimes we do both. Okay, and let's say that we're going to buy a subsidiary or buy another company. Do you use debt? Do you use equity? Do you use venture capital financing or private equity financing? All of those issues are going to be covered in this class.
So how many years after an MBA program can students expect to be in a position to use this kind of information?
Well, I think students are going to use it a lot faster than you think. This is a course that is offered at every major business school, pretty much. Should have been offered here a long time ago. It's a course that's extremely relevant. So let's say you become an HR manager. You got to know a lot of those issues. Any vice president of any company, you're going to sit on the board, you got to know those issues. If you are an auditor, you got to know those issues, because you're going to meet with the board and the audit committee. If you're a compensation consultant, you got to meet with the boards, and you got to know the issues. If you're a corporate governance person or member of an advocacy group, you got to know the issues. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons today that our students will be involved in boards, either from private equity, venture capital, or board member service, or some kind of service to the board.
So both MBA students and MAC students should attend this class?
Well, we're opening it up first for the MBAs.
Okay.
And if it fills up, then it'll just be MBAs. If it doesn't fill up, then we'll probably let some MAC students in.
So when will the class be offered?
The class will be offered in the fall, next fall, for the first time at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday and Thursday. It'll be offered again in the winter. We hope it's successful. If it's not, we may not do that.
Yeah,
It's a really exciting class for the students. It's a class that you go to any good business school, Harvard, Stanford, whatever. Stanford, where I used to teach, has had it for a long, long time. We hope it becomes a great course in the MBA curriculum.
We hope so too. So tell us a little bit more about some of the issues that happen within corporate governance that would be not necessarily things from the C-suite, but things that are a little sooner than that, maybe for a director level or for a VP level?
Well, first of all, when a board meets, almost all of the directors or vice presidents will be in the board meeting, except for the executive session of the board meeting. Okay? So they're all there and they're participating, and they have to make presentations. They have to understand how the board works, how the board thinks. You know, the HR person is very involved in the succession planning of the CEO and the other C-suite people. In addition, you know, if you're the vice president of finance or the vice president of production or whatever, you're going to be in there, and you're going to be accountable to the board. The board comes in, and you're accountable to them, and you make reports, and you get feedback, and we reward you. We decide. What are you going to get for compensation? We decide. I've fired a CEO before. I've helped fire a CEO before. I've helped fire a CFO before. And those are big issues. And you're going to, almost every MBA student at some point will serve on a board or be involved in board work from, say, you know, financing or whatever.
Yeah.
If you go to work for one of the big investment banks, you're always working with boards, always.
How did you use these principles of corporate governance as a mission president?
Well, obviously, integrity was important. I was trying to teach my missionaries about accountability and stewardship, and of course that's what the board is, and that's what the management company is the stewardship for the shareholders. We represent the shareholders. We're elected by the shareholders as board members, and stewardship's a very important mission principle, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here, Professor Albrecht. And thank you for watching. Join us again for another edition of Marriott MBA Today.